Hello everyone. So today in this video, I want to talk about ScriptRunner. Now, ScriptRunner is definitely one app that you need on at least on data center, maybe not on cloud, but when you're working on ScriptRunner, especially when you're working maybe for your clients, maybe you're doing some freelancing, maybe you are writing some scripts or creating a solution for someone else. Often you will encounter this situation and this problem where you may not have access to the target instance. It could be the production or it could be some staging environment. You may also not have admin rights, and sometimes you will not only have access to the environment, but you will also not have access to the configurations, or basically you just need requirements to work on. You just need a brief or some kind of details from your client to write a script. And to be honest, based on my experience, I can tell you that it is actually a good thing. It is not a problem. It is actually a great thing to have when you have no access to the environment, like production environment, because then you can write scripts with a lot of things in your mind. You will make sure that you will do error handling. You will, of course, in the beginning, try to understand your client's requirements. Then you will translate those requirements in some kind of technical specifications. You will also work on the acceptance criteria. You will also write your test cases. And whenever you write a script, you will also try to incorporate, first of all, your script should be easy to read so that someone else can modify it if they have to. You should use global variables in your script, and wherever applicable, try to fetch the IDs. It may not be applicable for everything, but sometimes when you're writing a script, you cannot really hard code each and everything. For example, in your script, maybe you are hard coding let us say the issue type ID or maybe the transition ID, but the person who is trying to modify the script might not know how to retrieve it. So you need to make your script so easy so that people can, anyone with some basic Jira admin knowledge can modify it. And it happens to me quite a lot, where I write a script and I basically just hand it over to someone and they deploy it. Now, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. As I just mentioned, this is basically an approach where you will first make sure the requirements are clear, but at the same time, in a way, you are writing a script following test-driven development. So you will also write test cases, and then you will try to pass your test cases. I think that you don't need to, of course, automate each and everything. Those test cases could be just list of things that should work, and only then your script should be considered as complete, or at least based on the requirements. Of course, this approach, test-driven approach, or whatever I'm talking about in this video, it might not be applicable for each and every situation. If you're writing a small script, then you don't really need to do all these things. Just write the script. And usually in these cases, when you're talking about a small script, you can just hand it over. And with, of course, bare minimum documentation or some supporting instructions. But when you're trying to write a script, which is basically part of a solution, then you have to provide supporting documentation. And that supporting documentation could be, or you can call it as a run book, right? Like basically easy to follow guide for anyone to replicate. Because if I'm deploying a script from someone, first of all, and if I'm doing it on production, then I don't really want to be, I will always be cautious and I will get nervous if I am deploying a script which I didn't write. But if I have some supporting document, then I can deploy it on UAT, I can deploy it on staging, and then of course I can deploy it on production, of course, after all the checks. So if you don't have access to the environments, it is a good thing. And when you're writing a script, you should write a script based on, your script should do error handling based on data as well. For example, on your machine, when you're writing a script, the way I write scripts, I always start with, especially when I'm building a solution, I always start with a fresh Jira instance. Of course, using my own, because I use SDK, Atlassian SDK to write my scripts, and I always do like MV clean so that I have like a fresh instance of Jira, and then I write my script so that the script first fails because I don't really have anything on my instance. Then I keep on, based on, of course, the requirements, I do some configurations, and usually I have like a lot of configurations that I do using a script. So if I have to create 10 custom fields of different types, I just run a script. And I think you should also do that, because you should make your development workflow quick and be efficient in doing that. So write scripts to build your environment in a way. I guess that is what I'm trying to say. So overall, I would say that try to follow this approach even if you have access to the environments, because I always write my scripts on my own local instance, and then I of course test it on. Usually, when you write a script with all these test cases or all these checks, error handling in place, then you will also be comfortable deploying it, talking about it, and understanding where things go wrong or could go wrong, basically. Because when I hand over the package, basically, test like test cases, documentation, and scripts to someone, and when they try to do a deployment and something doesn't work, then I exactly know what could have gone wrong, because I wrote the scripts, and I just in my scripts, of course, I use logs as well. So I also display something to the console, or I write something to log so that I can see those messages. And when you're writing your own log, like basically, I use like a string builder in my scripts, and I just output it, and I basically pass that variable for string builder to all my methods, so that whenever so I can understand the flow. For example, if the script is calling 3 different methods, maybe it is first fetching the workflow ID or workflow status name ID, whatever, then transition ID, whatever. Then it is going to a different method to do something, maybe a third method to do something else. And I am also inserting some like my own messages. Then I know, okay, when I look at the log or the output, I know I'm giving myself more opportunities to troubleshoot easily after 6 months. That is what I'm trying to say. So that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new. Thank you very much. Bye bye.